There are numerous blighted creatures in the service of Nurgle, chaos god of disease and despair. Hordes of chanting plague bearers march under pox-marked banners, while titanic great unclean ones lumber to war with laughter on their lips. The most ubiquitous servants of Nurgle, however, are the little demons known as Nurglings. Also called pus spores, mites of Nurgle, and sore pickers, these creatures are jovial little pests. They appear as miniature versions of their deity, with mischievous smiles, bloated green bodies, and limbs distorted or distended by plague. A Nurgling stands no taller than a man's kneecap, and they are little more than a nuisance when confronted alone. Unfortunately for the world at large, Nurglings are never encountered alone. In battle, Nurglings travel in swarms, creating a roiling carpet of diseased bodies that can overwhelm even the most stalwart of defenders. When among the enemy, the swordpickers claw, gnaw, and bite at their foes with razor-sharp teeth. They'll also eagerly inspect their victims for interesting cuts or abrasions to lick. While their tiny fangs and tiny tongues aren't lethal individually, the sheer number of bites can reduce a full-grown man to nothing but bones in seconds. Even if a foe can somehow survive such an onslaught, the sheer number of diseased bites ensures that some nasty plague has taken root in their bodies. This can doom an individual to a long, painful demise as their immune system falters in the face of such potent illnesses. Despite being the least of Nurgle's demons, Nurglings are intimately connected to his greatest. They are born from the rotting bowels of great unclean ones, clawing their way through putrid flesh to begin menacing the mortal realms. The mites of Nurgle will then live on the great unclean one's skin, squabbling with each other over the best crevices within their host's folds to lair within. They spend most of their time picking over the demon's skin, nibbling on loose bits and boils. On occasion, a Nurgling will be favored with pets and treats by the great unclean one, much to its delight and its fellows' jealousy. The most notorious of great unclean ones, Kugoth Plaguefather, is particularly notable for his love of Nurglings. His body constantly spawns more of the little menaces, and he rides into battle on a palanquin carried by a straining horde of the little pests. It would not be unfair to say that he carries more Nurglings around him than any other great unclean one, and he loves each of them like a child. The Plague Weaver's affection is not entirely selfless, however. When the mood suits him, Kugoth will pluck one of the Nurglings infesting his folds and dunk it in plague fluids. This infected Nurgling is then chucked at the enemy, where it explodes in a burst of noxious disease to devastating effect. The Nurglings, for their part, aren't completely willing participants in this arrangement. Still, the opportunity to spend quality time with Papa Kugoth is too much of a treat to resist for many of their ilk. Great Unclean Ones aren't the only followers of Nurgle to take advantage of a Nurgling's eagerness to serve. Just like the Plaguefather, Heralds of Nurgle will also make a Nurgling swarm carry them into battle atop a palanquin. While not a terribly fast mount, the War Throne does have some distinct advantages. For one, it gives the Herald a bodyguard of pestilent little demons that will defend it to the death. Secondly, it gives the Herald a better vantage point to view the battlefield and issue orders from. Finally, the palanquin acts as a visual representation of the Herald's higher status among its fellow lesser demons. This is obviously the most important part. Epidermis, Nurgle's chosen tallyman, is carried into combat on one of these moldering thrones. His Nurgling attendants are completely quiet so as not to distract their lord from his scribblings. To those familiar with the mites of Nurgle, this is more unsettling than their usual jabbering laughter. As demons of Nurgle, the Plague God's cultists can summon Nurglings to the mortal realms to afflict the defenders of order. They aren't difficult to conjure, with the easiest method being infecting a mortal with a plague. The illness spreads the seed of corruption, opening a small portal to Nurgle's garden within the victim's body. A Nurgling quickly grows from this portal, swelling the host's body before ultimately killing it. When the diseased individual finally dies, the Nurgling within will burst out and attack any nearby. As they often find themselves unleashed in plague houses and hospital wards, the Nurglings are often presented with a plethora of sick and weak victims to ravage. This can severely hamper an enemy's war effort, as those carrying the disease can act as incidental bioweapons in a sickbay or field hospital. In Total War Warhammer, Nurglings are a super cheap infantry unit on the Nurgle roster. Clocking in at 350 gold a pop, their large hit point pool and Cloud of Flies ability makes them excellent at tanking damage that would otherwise go towards more valuable units. Their ability to Vanguard deploy makes them a pretty good tech piece in domination mode, though it's not the most useful ability in other battle types. As befits the lore, Kugoth Plaguefather has a number of abilities to help out Nurglings and his army, giving them regeneration, additional melee defense, and ensuring that they recruit with more hit points than normal. Until you can get Kugoth's incredibly weak economy going, his Nurglings will perform better than anything else you can afford, so long as they're supported by Kugoth himself. Even if you don't care about their ability in battle, however, you should still keep one around. Their animations are really well done, and you can tell that a lot of care was put into them. That concludes our overview of Nurglings, one of the better known lesser demons of chaos. Sorry for the long delay between videos. I had to move for a new job and or to escape the police, you know how it is. That kind of kept me distracted for the better part of the past few weeks, and then I had to build up a backlog of videos to ensure I wouldn't fall behind again once I started releasing again. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, you should subscribe to the channel. If there's something you want to see me cover in the future, you should leave a comment about it down below. I'm always happy to take a suggestion from the community, and while I won't spoil what I'm working on right now, there is something big coming up the pipe that was a request from my Discord. Anyways, until next time, this has been Sigmar's Chosen, signing off for now.